Hey guys, welcome back. I just watched episode 7 of the Halo TV show, so I guess we should talk about it. Quick preface to this though, the reason that I didn't do an episode 6 video last week was because honestly, I was away on Thursday. I could have recorded a video in the morning. I'm gonna be honest, I ain't getting up super early to rush out a video about this show. I just wasn't feeling it. And also when I got back from being away, I was like, you know what? I could either watch episode 6 of the Halo show, or I could watch the second part of season 4 of Ozark that just released, or episode 3 of Better Call Saul. And you best believe that I watched Ozark and Better Call Saul instead of the Halo show, because this show really ain't doing it for me. But yeah, today I thought I'd put on my Moist Critical cosplay and talk about episode 7, so let's get into it. So this episode was a Kwan-focused episode, which I think about says it all. Granted, I will say it wasn't as bad as it could have been. It was better than I thought it was going to be, but that doesn't mean that it was exactly anything great. Kwan just continues to be, for most of this episode until the very end, just an angsty teenager still. Like, I don't know why the Halo show needed some angsty teenage angle for its story. It really didn't. She gets mad with just everybody. She gets mad with the insurrectionists and her father. She gets mad with the UNSC, with the Spartans. She gets mad with the Covenant. She gets mad with Soren. She just gets angry with everyone, and it's really repetitive. That said though, Soren again was great in this episode. Soren is like the shining light of Kwan's story arc, and this episode highlights that perfectly, because Soren had some pretty good moments in this, and I do genuinely like his character in this show. Oh, and one thing at this party as well, he mentioned quad wings flying into his ship. If you didn't know, quad wings are those weird birds on Epitaph and Guardian in Halo 3. Just kind of cool to see those things referenced. And speaking of this party, I'm gonna be honest, this party scene looks... It looks more like a scene from the Mighty Boosh than a scene from Halo. It looks like a party that Howard and Vince would have in the shop, not a party that I'd see in the Halo universe, which, if anyone gets that reference, then bravo to you, shout out to you, any Mighty Boosh fans out there, but it's just strange. And even stranger, Kwan goes to see a bunch of witches in the desert. Yeah, oh, and don't worry, she also gets mad at them as well, because... course, that's her entire character archetype at this point. I will just say, I don't think the acting at all in this show is bad. In fact, quite the opposite. I think the actors are doing a really good job with this show. The issue is the writing. I just think the writing is awful, to be quite honest with you. I just don't think it's good at all. I'll talk about this more later, but I swear to God, this show was written for a completely different IP, and then for whatever reason, that IP, like, I don't know, didn't end up going through, so like, let's just attach it to Halo. Like, if the Halo logo wasn't in the intro of this show, it would not resemble Halo 90% of the time, like, at all. Just not even slightly. And on that topic, I love how none of the vehicles they're using in this episode are like Halo vehicles at all. They're just like generic modern day vehicles. Like, Vince is being driven around in like some GM truck. Why could that not have been like one of the civilian vehicles from Reach, or like one of the civilian vehicles, for example, from Halo 2 in New Mombasa? Like, I don't know why it had to be just like a modern day vehicle. This Chevy Tahoe all over again. And the same thing goes for the weapons as well. I'm a big fan of having the odd modern weapon from like the modern day in the Halo universe to ground it and bring it down. But what's important about that is the contrast that you have between that modern day weapon, like for example in Shadows of Reach, the Desert Eagle, compared to DMRs and battle rifles and assault rifles. That contrast between modern day technology and 500 years in the future technology is what makes it so cool. But when every single weapon is just a Chris Vector, or a pistol that exists today, or a hand cannon that exists today, it loses that cool flair that's created by the contrast. So, the Mystics tell Kwan Ha that her father, Jin Ha, who died in the first episode, met a being from another time, which I'm assuming is this monitor-like thing that we see later. Turns out that this well is a portal, probably to the Halos, because they say that Kwan is the key to opening the gate and then talk about the portal, so I'm assuming that's a portal to the Halos. And I'm assuming this is a monitor, so Jin met a monitor, and the portal that the monitor came through from the Halo is being powered by the deuterium on Madrigal, which is why he wants to protect it, which, I guess it could, I'm not going to write off yet, it could be kind of cool if that's how they get to it, but I think the way that Halos were discovered in the main canon was significantly leaps and bounds better. When Kwan goes into this kind of like vision dream thing on Madrigal, she sees Reth again from episode 2. Reth, who should have been a jackal, but of course, no, this show doesn't do that. It's just a guy. Can't have cool Covenant characters, I guess. But yeah, she goes into this vision, and I'll be honest, actually, I did like how Chief was portrayed in this vision as this, like, literal, like, demonic, possessed demon, which is how I always pictured, like, the Covenant minions, like the lower ranking Covenant, seeing him when they called him the demon, just this autonomous, like, almost robotic, like, serial killer. He kind of gave me that vibe, and I did really like that. But yeah, like I said earlier, the Mystics tell Kwan that she's going to meet Chief again, and that she is going to open the door for him, which I'm assuming means open the portal that's powered by the deuterium on Madrigal to the Halo, so Chief and the UNSC can go through it or whatever. But I'm guessing that what's going to happen is Marquis going to get there first, and then the Covenant to go through it first, and then the UNSC are going to follow. That's how I think it's going to happen. This Mystic stuff, man, it was just, I swear, right, I swear, dude, they wrote this story for a completely different IP, and then that IP pulled out, and they were like, oh shit, well, let's just put it on the Halo brand, and it'll work. Because it doesn't, at least to me, maybe you think differently, but to me, very little of this show has resembled Halo. Very, very little. In one of these mystic visions, Kwan meets her father again, and he tells her that she's a better leader than him, but I really don't see how. I don't see how she's demonstrated any quality leadership abilities yet. I've not seen anything like that from Kwan. Jin seemed like a pretty good leader, honestly. He was good at, like, rousing his troops. He led from the front lines. Kwan has just been annoying and angry for 7 episodes, so I don't really know how she's a good leader. Another saving grace of this episode was the fact that Vinsher Graff, played by Bern Gorman, was in it quite a lot. Granted, I think this is his last episode because he dies at the end, but he is fantastic. I've said it before in videos, but I'm a massive fan of Bern Gorman, in particular from Torchwood. I grew up watching Torchwood, and he was fantastic in that. He's a great actor, and he plays the kind of UNSC villain role with Vinsher really well. I did like Vinsher's character. He was pretty cool. But like I said, I'm pretty sure he gets blown up by the hydrogen at the end, so rest in peace, Vinsher, I guess. And the scene in which Vinsher died was also decent, I guess, where Soren and Kwan hold off in the camp from episode 1 on Madrigal as Vinsher's, like, UNSC goons infiltrate it and try and kill them. Soren has some great combat in this section, and again, Soren was the highlight of this episode for me. His combat was really cool. I like his little quips when he's fighting and when he's talking to people. He's a great character. Honestly, I think he's written decently well. And this fight scene played out pretty well as well. It was just cool seeing Soren fuck a bunch of, like, UNSC goons up, to be honest with you. But yeah, in the end, they blow the hydrogen stack up, kill all the bad guys. Soren and Kwan are left alive, and they escape. Soren gets his ship back, and also loads of his deuterium money, and Kwan gets what she wants as well. Vinsher and the UNSC people defeated. I don't really know where they go from here. I don't really know what happens with Soren now, because it feels like Soren's storyline is kind of over, which I hope isn't the case, because he's pretty good in this show. But I will say, Soren's final words to Kwan were quite hilarious.
We'll see each other again.
God, I hope not.
And yeah, that's it. Overall, pretty meh episode, to be honest with you. I don't really have that many thoughts on it besides what I mentioned already. I'm gonna be honest, if I wasn't making these videos, I probably wouldn't be watching this show. Like, episode 6, I had to really force myself to watch it the other day. After every episode, I go back and I watch Landfall and We Are ODST, and I'm like, dude, why could we not something like that? The perfect formula was there. I know this is like cliche at this point because everyone wants this, but there's a reason for that. Just make Band of Brothers with ODSTs. Literally perfect. Have the odd, like, really rare Spartan cameo to make their kind of involvement in the story have impact and have them showing up really mean something, but have the main bulk of the show be about ODSTs fighting a war that they're losing. Just that formula. I don't know why it's not been done. I really don't. It's like a winning formula. You do Band of Brothers with ODSTs and have it be as visceral and as gritty as Band of Brothers was, and you would have such a good show, but alas, this is what we got. Anyway, I'm going to round this one out here because I want to go work on my Season 2 review video and also my Metal Gear Rising video, baby. Very excited for that one. So, thank you all for watching. Make sure to ring the bell, sub if you haven't done already. Season 2 review will be out tomorrow. So yeah, look out for that one, and I'll catch you all in the next one.